playing labs on Escape from Tarkov's PVE mode is the best it's ever been, and today I'm going to jump into a raid for you, but first I'm going to show you off some of the loot that I got from only 3 runs of actually doing labs. All of this is shown in this case right here. It's actually above. It is this one, so this is from 3 different raids that I did on labs. There was essentially a ton of rare spawns all across the map, and with the recent updates to the overall loot quality, you can see just how many rare loot spawns there actually were. We picked up a ton of bitcoins from one room in specific, which is the standard room on labs that everyone goes to, the residential access keycard room, and we also picked up a ton of intel folders in there, some of them having 2 of them. We found a blue folder in the manager's office kind of area, as well as finding 2 other ones. We found a LEDX that was actually in I believe green room in one of the buckets, and obviously some weapons and stuff like that, some posters that we could sell if we wanted to, and we actually managed to pick up this poster right here. It is the Killer and Tagilla poster worth 2 million rubles in green room, or at least one of the rooms, maybe it was violet, something like that, just on the wall. So yet again, labs is just absolutely crazy in loot, and I'm going to jump into a raid for you, kind of go through some of the other reasons as well, because it's not just the loot, it's actually how the PMCs interact now that is just so much better than it ever used to be on PVE. So let's jump in. Right then, so we have spawned in. We're going to make our way up to level 2 and get out of the basement. And we have come up in a pretty decent location. We're going to hit up some of the jackets. There's a lot of raiders and PMCs that will actually come up into level 2, and sometimes we can always make our way over to the manager's office. We'll kind of see how we're faring on the loot. We've got a ton of PCs in here, and whilst we're talking about the AI in particular, is that there is just a lot of kind of more engaging combat fights in labs. You're going to learn a lot from just running into labs, because obviously you've got a little bit more of a dark area, you've got a lot more fights going on, and you're kind of corner fighting with a lot more in the game. So that's also a benefit to kind of playing labs in general. You've got a load of loot spawns that do also spawn around here, and we're going to try and make our way to the corridor area. So we're waiting for some voice lines that we do here. We can check inside of the black room. This room has been littered, and I mean littered, with stims when I was checking. So we check through the window, see if there's a LEDX in there. Kind of can save yourself some money if you want to guarantee yourself money. The room at the minute, not looking like there's too many stims. There's obviously quite a few, so there's 3 around here. You can check over here. A LEDX will spawn potentially in the corner over here, or in between the 2 sets over there. There's a med box as well in the corner over there. You can check in the middle room. Sometimes there's some stims in there. And we'll actually just hit it up anyway, because, I mean, I've got a ton of rubles. We don't need to worry about money at this point. But we can jump on in, and you can see first stim. Now, in terms of labs, what I tend to do is I run a sit case, a docs case. You don't need both, but I like having it because I can put rare loot into the sit case that I can't into the docs case, and vice versa. Posters into the docs case, things like golden skulls into the sit case, and then injectors, we've got 2 of them because there is just way too many stims. If I could run 3, I would run 3. And so that's also something to note, always having 2 injectors cases that you can put into your backside. As well, it also, you know, if you do get taken out whilst running labs, if you're learning labs and you're consistently dying, obviously you don't get any insurance back when you do play the map, so that is also a negative, I guess, for new players, is that maybe you're trying to learn, and so you're getting taken out more, and therefore like you're going to lose a lot more gear, and it's not going to be as cost effective. But having a good setup in your cap container or whatever container you're using is going to enable you to always make your money back. Like, I never lose money when I run labs. I just don't make as much money, or maybe I open up a room that doesn't have anything that I can put in my backside, which is the actual labs key cards, and you open it up, you don't actually get anything out of it that is easily put into your pouch, and so you're ending up like maybe you get taken out after you've already been in there, and so you don't get to keep anything. So that's about the only time that I ever have any of those problems, but most of the time it's absolutely fine. So as you can see, we can just drop those in there. Another L1. A lot of the time, you're kind of min-maxing what you're actually taking out. So some of the stims that are worth a lot, I drop into the injector's case. Some that are worth like nothing, which is these 4 there that we've got, I won't bother because we're only going to have to take them out when we find more stims. Now, going into the center area, raiders don't spawn until later on in the raid, so we don't have to worry as much about them. When we're coming onto this corridor, there is sometimes PMCs that are actually around here, so you need to be careful. One thing to note is if you leave this door closed, you can find out if any PMCs have gone down there to the extract at the end of the raid, and then we just make our way up to here. We're going to hit up the green room. Is it a great room? I'm not so sure. Take out that guy. I thought we'd actually taken him out when he dropped to his knees, but apparently he healed instantly, which is a weird one, but he's taken out someone else. Grab up that. If you wanted gear, you can grab gear off of the actual raiders or PMCs or whatever they are. I'm not going to bother searching. This guy, I'm guessing, is a bear, so he took out the other guy. And there we go. We're not going to worry about them. You do have to be a little bit careful because they're usually when there's one, there's a couple. But we'll open up the green room so you guys can see the loot in here. The buffs to the loot are definitely noticeable. You're seeing a lot more spawns, so the actual overall spawn amounts have gone up in PvE. At least when I've recorded this video. If you're watching it later on down the line, you may see increased or a decrease to the amount of loot that you're seeing. But intel folders can spawn on all of these. On this desk right here, we found them. We got ourselves a little med case and nothing in it. We get rare loot spawn on top of here. We've got some more stims. You got to be careful with the glass. It is seeable through, like, so the AIs can actually hit you through there. Check inside of all of these metal containers because they can have LEDXs in, and that's pretty much throughout. All of the tables and stuff in here have stuff. You're really looking for 1 slot items worth about 30k each. So stims and stuff like that, that's ideal. Of course, if you get 2 slots, you want it to be worth 60k-ish. And we've got, a badge. Obviously, we can drop out the armor because, you know, we're not going to ever use this. But, you know, if you wanted armor, you can keep it. It just weighs you down. And checking on all of these and over there. And then on the table, there's also a black keycard spawn, so that's always a nice one to have a look at. And then over here, we got 2 stim spawns, one on the right of the sink, one on the left. On this tray over here, we've also got stim spawns inside of these blue areas, kind of test tubes as well. So there's one there, and I think there's actually another one right there, so we can grab up that. So there's 3. You check on the floor over here, sometimes you can find stuff. On the shelves over here, also check those, and then check on top of these desks for any more stims and stuff like that. We got ourselves a med box over here, and nothing in the med box, but we can drop in these Obdolbos into our little injectors cases just in case. And then we got a LEDX spawn inside of this this bit thing, like the metal case. Checking all of there. On the other side over here is another stim spawn. And then over here, checking all of these, as well as on the tables over here, there's usually a couple stims, so we can grab those out. Remember that it does cost money every time you open one of these, so ideally you're looking for at least 1 million rubles from the green keycard. It is the most expensive one, I believe. So yeah, whether or not it's the most profitable one is probably not. But yeah, once again, checking all of the desks over here, and then on this shelf over here. And then in this corner is a rare loot spawn. It's a hard drive that absolutely sucks. I thought it was a graphics card then for a second. We got ourselves a MCX. If we wanted one of those, we could grab it. On the floor over here is a rare loot spawn, and there's one, I think there's actually 2 that can spawn on the floor. In here, more high tier ammunition spawn, so that was definitely a change that I noticed. is the ammunition types that spawn up here, as well as weapon parts. You also can have yourself another spawn where that is, and on the chair. So made our money back from opening up the green room, just simply from that 1 Bitcoin, and then these stims are going to more than make up for everything that we did actually make so far. We can drop out our serve kit and put in some of the higher valuable items that maybe we want to keep as well, and then we can drop out this blackout if we want to save even more money in our raid. That's something that you can do, just min-maxing what you've got in your back, just in case you get taken out. On these shelves everywhere, it's just stim city in this raid, that's for sure. You can see just how much we've got just simply from the black room and the green room. And now once we've been here checking on these, there can be intel folders, and on this desk as well. You always want to check up here because there can be more stims, NaCl, not particularly what we're after. And also next to here, there's some more stims that spawn over there, but we want to be careful when we're moving in. The raiders are probably now starting to spawn in waves of 5, I believe they typically spawn in anywhere from 3 to 5 at any one time. And it's about 5 minutes into the raid starting, a Salewa, and grab that just in case. Now over here, we want to be careful because there can be PMCs. Usually I'll close the door just so we can have a quick look through the door. And then over here. So on 3rd floor, we can make our way into here. There's a duffel bag spawn, which we'll check up. We can drop out one of the lower tier ones and pop in the ETGC. Nothing particular interesting. Some spawns up on here. And then we go through here on the desk is another area. So some more stims can spawn, and on this trolley, and then on this shelf as well. But nothing there for us at the moment. So we're going to drop all the way down. Stim spawns on there. Duffel up there. You can find PMCs lurking about, so one way to know if anyone's in here is the light turns on. So we'll make our way into the residential area. Come down to here, we can get up the PMC. Nothing in that. Now in this room, it is probably quite dark, but unfortunately I can't put a flashlight on the old Velociraptor, but we got a PC spawn underneath. And we don't get a graphics card. You got a spawn for the residential key card over here. You can find a Bitcoin in the trash can. So always checking around. And then over here you got weapons that you can pick up. We'll pick up the spear. And if, for example, you want to min-max even further, you bring in a pistol. And then you can have 2 slots for weapons. That saves even more space. And then if you find anything else, you can grab it out if you wanted to. I'm not going to take them because they are just a waste of space. Of course, you can get high tier ammunition, 55A1, AP, SSAP, and then APSX, etc. I'm not going to take any of it just because it wastes the space, and we might want it later on down in the raid. But we got a decent amount of ammunition here anyway. Another Abdul boss. We come over here. This is the door for the residential access room, and we've got over there. Now you can see if there's any intel folders in the room before you go in, which they spawn on that little stair area over there. But we can open this one up. We got 4 of the keys. Now the key is a 2 out of 2 use, so you can essentially get 2 uses out of it. We've got a rare spawn on top of this little cabinet here, and on the bed you've got 2 spawns. Underneath the bed you've got a weapon spawn. Up here you've got a duffel spawn. On the desk you've got more spawns for rare loot, and on the floor as well another duffel spawn, and also a poster spawn up here as well. And then over here we have, of course, got our favorite duffel bag as well. The tape is actually worth like 60k right now. We've got 2 rare spawns on top. You've got a Bitcoin spawn that spawns usually down here on the ground. So Veritas picks, Bitcoins, smaller items spawning down there, and on top as well. You can find them. A little rooster over here, that's a rare spawn. A duffel bag and another rare spawn on the chair. So always checking. Basically everywhere in this room has rare spawns, just covered everywhere, and it's free to come into because we can always find essentially the key card, and it's a 2 out of 2, so you only have to search this area like once every 2 raids if you want complete free runs into the residential access room. turning on the power in this room directly opposite the door, and we got this area here that we can check for the PMC or civilian body, should we say. In here, some spawns for med items on the floor next to this guy, and then over here we have another room. So over here you can find the actual key card. Next to there we got some stim spawns that actually spawn on these test tube holders. Another spawn over here, a med box spawn down there, and over here is some more med spawns inside of the test tubes. So 2 spawns there for stims, and then you've also got a spawn for the key right here behind like this kind of calendar or something that's on the desk. And then just checking all over here and on the floor. And then once we've been in here, we make our way into this room, and we can find ourselves some more stim spawns over here. Another residential access keycard spawn and med spawns all over that. Another area over here with more stims that we can find. And then on this table there's just tons of spawns for med items. Another spawn for the res keycard there, and also underneath you'll find the res keycard can spawn under here as well. And H2O2, nothing interesting. And then yeah, checking on top of here, there's also a med spawn that can spawn under here, a med case or a duffel, like a med duffel. And then under there is also another med duffel. And then over here we've got ourselves a first aid kit and toolbox, so you can see just how many stims we've gotten already. Over here is the res keycard spawn right here on this table. We've got some more stim spawns, so it's just crazy how many stim spawns are on this map. A duffel, so med duffel down there, and then over here some more stim spawns. Hopefully it's an NaCl duffel bag spawn right there. And then over here is some more stim spawns, so a adrenaline. And then on the test tube rack we've got some more stims that can spawn. Never found anything on that table, but always check just in case it is like a randomly rare spawn or something. And then another med duffel over here. And there can be a med box over here as well. And then behind here is another spawn for the res unit keycard. A first aid box over there, so a med box as well. And then we got a med duffel over here. I should really call it a med bag, but you know, it looks like a duffel from the outset. And we got a propital, nice. So we can assign the propital. And now we are covered. And then toolbox down there, obviously. And then we can just leave, because we've already regathered our boy that we needed. And then obviously check this over here as well. But we've already done that apparently. Now as you come out of here, there can be actual PMCs or raiders, so be careful. The AI bots do love to sit out there. And also down the hallway as well, I've seen them. And then, should we wish to extract, we can come downstairs. Now raiders can be directly over here, and they can be to the left. So we are gonna keep left, hug left, and then make our way over to the right, and we can open up the door if we want to, and they can spawn down here, and they have apparently. So if that happens and you don't want to re-peek a doorway, you can come out through the back over here. And we can take a little entrance into here. There can be PMCs that spawn in here. And you can always check if they do actually spawn near here, because the door is open. So we're safe in here. So you can hear them voice lining. Okay. So they've lobbed a nade apparently. We'll just heal up real quick. And I suppose I should have brought my own nades, but I'm an idiot. Now pushing down the corridor is a bit of a pain. I think they are close over here. So they have ran in there. Okay then. So a little heavy bleed. That was not ideal. I got my sensitivity way too high. But I've been playing quite a bit of Baldur's Gate. And also editing as well. So need to swap back to my Tarkov settings on my mouse. But it's all good. We still took them out. We can check this guy just so that we got nades. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. Because we could have just thrown it in there to begin with. Now, these are raiders, so they might have decent ammo. Of course they don't. Let us actually reload real quick. We can check up this guy. And then we can head out of the raid. And then I'm going to show you the other side of the map as well, because we were predominantly over here. We can check this ammo. It's nothing special. Didn't think it would be. We've got no arm right now, but that's fine. Usually when I come through here, close the door just in case. Nothing's ever surprised me from there, but you never know with the new AI changes. Turn on the generator or the power, which allows us to take the elevator in a second. And we run through here to close this door just in case. Call the elevator, and then I usually sit here and we can kind of get out of the raid quite easily. But yeah, so far we can see M855 in there. So I could min-max my inventory and we could take this out if I wanted to. But I can't really be bothered, to be honest. Even though it is required for a task that I've got at the moment. But we can drop out of the med elevator and I'll join you back in the stash. We'll empty out our inventory and then I'll drop into another raid to show you the other side of the map live as well. So just now dropping in all of the stuff that I got. I haven't put any of the ammunition that I've got in here just because it would be crazy if we did that. And I just run out of space as well, and then I just sell any of the weapons that I've got, so I sell those and add it to the ruble count up here. Same with the stims as well. I've been just selling them as I get them, whether that be to therapist or selling them individually, and we can take a look at how much I've actually got from that. But in general, we're just dropping everything into there, but I'm going to have to sell now, and then I'll join you back in a second once I've sold all of that. So there we go. We've just sold off a few things to therapists, 1.75 million rubles from there. So let's sell all of those. I'll keep the stuff that we are actually going to keep. So another 200k right there. Drop that into there. Hopefully we can find the other money. And then we can just sell off all of the bits that we are not going to keep. And there we go. So cool. So far 4.25 million, but we've got some high value items in here, including that LEDX and a load of bitcoins as well. Let's actually sell this this spear real quickly as well. Let's get that one out of the way. Now, obviously, some people might want to keep it, but it's 128k, and I've got an infinite number of spears already, so definitely do not need to keep that. And then what we can do is just drop in the vases and the rest of it all in there. So you can see the amount of high tier ammo we got. So we got 150 rounds of M995, which is, of course, pretty darn good. And of course M855A1 as well, quite a few rounds of that, so 100 rounds, some hybrid ammo as well, which is insane for the spear. And yeah, that was just getting some of the ammo. That we didn't even pick up most of it that was actually in there. But yeah, our ammo case is just getting filled with loads more ammo than we need to. Obviously, if you didn't already know, you can click this little search bar icon on whatever you're clicking, and whatever you control click will go into that. So you'll see, oh, we can't actually put that in there, but essentially, yeah, you can just pick something that you want things to go into. Say if we have both of these open and I wanted it to go into this top one, the medicine one, we click it and everything that we control click goes into there. So we will swap out the Salewa, put that in the trash, And there we go. Make sure to move that down. And there we go. Let's make our way upstairs. And hopefully towards Red Room this time. We've actually spawned fairly close. We can go through here. Now, this is probably one of the more risky areas of the map. Just simply because PMCs always spawn here for some reason. Okay, well, he could see me right across the map. Okay, another one is down. This is a bit tense. This is why this side of the map in the early game is a bit of a pain. I won't lie. It's probably the side that you'll find the most enemies most of the time. Okay, I see two more. What we will do is make our way across over this way. I could do with some grenades. Okay, so he's spotted us. We'll come to the corner of death. It's another one gone. There's still, I think, two more. Might as well loot up the safe that's in here. We'll loot up this guy's weapon just because in the very off chance that we do run out of ammo. Right, from here we run directly across. Okay. So, you can see the PMCs do indeed fight, and you can gank them occasionally. It could be raiders though, so PMCs are very aggressive, and they will pretty much fight anything. So we are fully loaded again to go. Just checking around. Let's make our way into the red room. And he's gone. And here is red room. Let's hope that we've taken out most of the PMCs in the area, but I can probably tell you that there's not that many. But this is why labs, I think, is genuinely the funnest. The amount of AI that do spawn, and the fact that they now move around, they do come to you, they do all of the sorts of things that you'd expect actual players to do to a degree, except they are more nuanced, and yeah, they do definitely head tap you from time to time. It's still a ton of fun, and I think a lot of people probably have this vision that it's not that difficult playing PvE, and certainly if you play it in a way that isn't difficult, if you're not going to some of the more difficult locations, it certainly can be an easy experience. But if you want to make it hard, you can make it harder. Is it going to really test the most skilled veterans of Tarkov to an insane degree? Probably not. But it may be a different kind of experience than what you've seen. But equally, the most experienced veterans of Tarkov have played against terrible players and stuff like that as well, who have never played the game or certainly don't have, 10 hours a day to play the game as well. So there's also that. And the AI, once they've targeted you, don't actually miss you. It's just, can you understand the mechanics to get around them? So yeah, you can certainly get randomly taken out by the AI occasionally as well, which does definitely happen. It's happened to me quite a few times, but that's how you learn and also how you get better. So the red keycard spawn is over here, by the way. It can actually spawn over there. Now what I usually do is, just to avoid being memed on by the AI where they come strolling through the door and start shooting you in the back, is we do hit the closed door over there. This is Violet, by the way. This is probably one of the best rooms out of all of the marked rooms in the game. It has so many rare spawns. You can see already we've picked up a load. Got a GPSA if we've needed that for the hideout or anything like that. Another rare spawn does spawn down over here. It's a bit of a funky way to actually pick it up. It doesn't always work. You kind of have to maneuver to be able to pick things up over there. We'll just move about some of this stuff. And there we go. Nothing too much of interest. We got some more figurines. I think there's also a spawn under the keyboard and on the floor over here where this hawk is. There can also be some bitcoins and stuff I found on the floor. And then you're just checking over here for any expensive sites that you might see. Nothing of interest. And we can drop that bitcoin in there. Another weapon box that we can open should we wish to, but I mean most of the time I don't open weapon boxes anymore because they're just not really worth it. Most of the time you're getting trash. We can open up here and see if we can find anything. Nothing. And we got ourselves another crate in here. There's a couple of rare spawns, one on the floor behind me and one on the shelving unit in front of me that we can always look at. PS ammo, we got an I actually want to use this. So we can always give that a go at a later date. We got some duffel bag spawns that spawn on these, and also a spawn over here for a tech item, I believe. Now then, can we see any AI around here? Not currently. So that was a AI. Okay, let's see if this guy was an AI. It was. And this was also an AI. So it seems like they all were. Oh no, that was a raider, the end one. And so is this one, apparently. Now we can open up this door. This has quite a few rare spawns in it. Got ourselves a jacket as we go in. An Aoyonka, yes please. We can just unload all of this ammo. Makes it easier to manage sometimes. And it can also go into one slot sometimes as well. And there we go. Now we've got some spawns over here. And a PC, I believe, can spawn in here. Nothing of the sort in this raid. And then over here, some drawers. Another PC spawns down over here. CPU, etc. Nothing of interest. Some more rare spawns over here. We've got a plastic suitcase that we can open. A bomber helmet actually sells, and then we got some rare spawns on these cabinets if we wanted them. Another rare spawn on the table. And then you got a ton of PCs. I'm not going to bother opening them, but they can have like graphics cards obviously. If I'm checking PCs now, pretty much nothing is worth anything because they're all used for trades. So if you don't see a 2 slot, I don't bother even examining it. So I will literally just check over here, and then, you know, you're going to get a PCB, wires, or something like that. If you don't get a 2 slot, check on the desk though, because there can be rare spawns on there. This one is one, but of course it's just a 1 slot, so if you examine it and it ends up being a 1 slot, I don't bother. Already checked that one. And there we go. So that's that room. We'll just check for any AI around, because there were a lot of them. I'm thinking we check down here. Just want the dog tags, to be honest. And obviously if they got any good helmets, I'll take those as well. And now we'll make our way across. And we're going over to the yellow room here. It was our final use of violet as well, so we'll have to buy another one of those, or I've got one lying around. Probably have one lying around. In here, rare spawn here, where this strike packet is. You can get GPSAs, MCCs, etc. And then over here, another rare spawn. And down here by the plant, another rare spawn. Got one on the chair. Also have a spawn, I believe, for the blue room keycard. We can turn off the announcement, which is good. And then on the chair, so just check all over the desk. And then we've got a PC in here. You never know, you can get a graphics card. We don't in that one, that's fine. Scopes and just random components for your weps. And then we've got ourselves a clock, which isn't really worth anything, but I will maneuver some things around. And there we go. It's not really worth anything, the clock. It's like 80k or something, I believe. Some more rare spawns in here. And we got a 3 BTG. On top of this as well, you can find them, and behind the door over there. And then now that we are basically full, it's only whether or not we want to get rid of the ammunition and loot up some more rooms. We could hit manager's office. But at this point in the raid, it becomes a lot more scary, shall we say, because of the fact that the raiders can be anywhere. And it's a bit of a pain in the arse when you go into managers. Ideally, you want to do that at the beginning of the raid. But we'll do it just for you. The glass over here is potentially one-shottable through. And that is what I mean. But you can crouch behind this thing anyway. But we are going to have to make a run for it. So maybe we won't hit that up until later on in the raid. There's another one. Let's just pack my mags real quick. We'll have to pick up the other one that we dropped as well. And we'll make space for it. Kind of just want some nades if they've got one. Just because it can make things a little bit easier. Can then go over into this location. We hit up this door. There's a rare loot spawn on the floor over here, which there isn't anything in. So that's always good. And then a PC. And we got a poster as well. I'll drop out that. Just so I can pick this up. And we can drop the poster in there. I don't know if that's worth anything. You guys will probably tell me it's worth 5k. And I just wasted 4 slots. Which is probably exactly what it is, but either way we can make our way over into this location. We're gonna go over to the green room. Now I didn't hit our managers, but there can be a blue intel over there. Now we'll hit up green just because I'm over here. I'm enjoying the raid. ETGC directly as we enter. Checking over there. Have we got any spawns? Ideally we're looking for a ton of stim spawns or small 1-slotters. because we can drop those into our backpack, is the idea. And we'll do that so that all of our stims go into our backpack. And we can move these sorts of stuff up so that it is easier to loot when we find a ton of stims, as I'm sure we will do. There we go. Vaseline. Nothing over there. Okay, nothing. And over here we've got some more spawns. SJ6 is lovely. And can we find any more stims over here? Yes, we can. So we can loot up 3 stims at a time. And there we go. Ugh. Nothing there. We got ourselves the med box. No LEDX this run, but that's fine. SJ6. Trim it all. Some pretty valuable stims. As I say before, this room probably the least good one out of them all. Just because obviously it's the highest cost. And I don't think you really make your money back consistently. I mean, you probably have a good chance to make your money back, but you're not making that much money, if that makes sense. Overall, G28 there. Some more ammunition spawns. Hybrid. We'll drop out the ump. And there we go. What's on the floor? It's a strike packet. Fantastic. Great thing to have your rare spawn to be. And a H2O2. Some more stims. I will not say no. The BTGs are actually very nice to get. We can drop out some of the trashy stims, which are those. And perfect. Check over here for intel folders. And then we will hit downstairs. Remember to be careful with the stairs down at the very bottom. Doesn't look like anyone's been there because the door is not closed. And check black room. Unless I see a LEDX this time, we are not going to actually hit it up. Because of the fact I already have max stim slots and we can't carry anymore. So it's not going to be worth it. And I don't think we can see it. Flashlight can go through here, so ideally having a pistol or something with a flashlight is ideal. But yeah, can't see any LEDX in there at the moment, and something with a zoom would be ideal as well. But that's fine. We've now got to go down to the end of the corridor. Now you can find a poster up here on this wall. Green keycard spawn up here, stim spawn over here, and there is one. Cool. And then we can check in here, see if there's a LEDX in one of these containers. The white dot will appear. Red keycard spawns over there on the desk, but I cannot see it this time round, so we won't hit it up. That's where a scope with magnification can help out a little bit easier to find it. But what we will do is make our way into here. So we close up the door. We are not going to go around the entire area of this just because I do not want this video going on for an insane amount of time. But you can once again hit up all of these, find yourself a spear, drop out this one, grab that, and then you got to load more ammo. But I'm already stacked out on ammo. Drop this clock. RAM. Can we find the key card quickly? That is the question. Because I think it's worth about 200k on the flea, something like that. So, I mean, just finding the key card is going to pay for your key card, if that makes sense. We'll jump out here. Check the easy spawns. Let's get into this. No intel or blue folder, which is strange. Seems to always be there when I come off stream, but okay. Another rare spawn. No poster this time. A Bitcoin. A roller. And then under here, we've got another spawn. We can drop out the cat. Pick that one up. And then a lion. Definitely not taking that one. Let's check this one. And then we might as well speed run the other areas. We'll just to try find the key card. And there's the key card. Perfect. So we can get out of here anyway now. Make sure to drop it into your sit case or docks case. I don't think we've got anything else that can go in there. Obviously the vibing and some of the rare items are only worth like 30, 27, something like that. But it's just easier to sell them, and sometimes that's going to save you time in raid. We are exhausted, so that pretty much sums up the raid. Obviously we can take some stims if we wanted to make it just that a little bit more bearable. But usually what I'll do when I come down here, double tap Z, it's going to drop your backpack. And then checking around on both sides, see if there's any raiders spawning. There isn't. Perfect. We can grab our backpack, drop it over here. And hopefully we can regen a little bit of stam just so we can sprint into the elevator. Once you hit any of the power buttons, you can use whatever extracts you want, to be honest. But once you use them, they do kind of call in more raiders. So either way, we have made it out. And with probably what is a stupid amount of money, which is always good. So that raid was a bit more stacked out, so 11.7 thousand XP, and we took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 PMC AIs and 3 raiders. There is a thing with like PMCs, they don't tend to give you that much XP, so it would be nice to see a buff to the XP of taking out PMCs. Just to speed up people's progression through some of the leveling, so that they're like equal to raiders, because I'm pretty sure raiders give you more XP than PMCs, and I think they should probably be equal. They're probably as difficult to take out as the PMC AI, so yeah, you should probably just make them equal. But here is our labs. We can drop in all of this, and then I'll go ahead and sell everything. And I'll join you back in a second once we've done all of that. Right then, so I am now in the stages of, well, the last stages of selling everything. We have currently got a labs residential unit keycard selling at the moment and an intel folder selling. But in terms of how much money we have made so far, not including this poster right here, which I'm actually going to keep, but we'll add it to the cost. It's about 2 million rubles to actually sell. Plus we've got a couple of other posters. Some of these are worth like 40k, some significantly less. We have got a microcontroller board, which is for a LEDX craft, which actually makes you money, but you need the cookbook, which we don't have, or not the cookbook, but you get the idea. And then we got two GPSAs, which was just to highlight the fact that you can get some of the requirements for some of the hideout items. So definitely useful to have. As far as me though, the GPSA, yeah, we just quick sell them to therapists because there's no other real uses for them other than making money. And then we got the labs armband, which I'm not entirely sure if we've already got before, but I'll keep it just in case. It's probably in my rares section if we do have it, which maybe we don't, or it's somewhere else. Either way, yeah, we got the labs armband from one of the duffel bags that we opened ages ago in like one of the first couple of raids that we did. And then some GP coins. This bomber can go, and I'll add that now to how much we made, wherever the hell the bomber actually went. There we go. We can actually sell this actually. It's like 50k right now. Can probably sell it for, let's say, just so that it sells fast, let's put it for 40k. And hopefully that sells either way. In terms of the money that we made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24.3 million rubles. And we've just sold the intel folders that I think we had listed up. Don't worry, it's just the bomber beanie left and my sugars that I was trying to get rid of when they were worth higher, but these are not part of this whole thing. None of them have sold. We've been sat at 117 because they're listed way higher than the current price, so don't worry, we haven't added any of that money in here. And we got a little bit of euros as well. So total price check, we are sat at just under 25 million, and then 2 million for this, so 27 million essentially is what we would make if we sold everything, plus these two far forwards are 75k each. So yeah, definitely over about 27 million, which if we were to take an average of 5 raids is what we ran to get all of the stuff that we did. We were getting tons of bitcoins last night, and I was getting a ton of blue and just standard intel folders running the left hand side of the map and the top side of the map rather than where red room was. Yeah, we made a ton of money, but of course in those 5 we did open up a ton of the key rooms, and we pretty much opened up red and violet like 3 times. So each of these are worth, you know, 6, so about 600k per one, so that's like 1.8 million just in opening up red room. And then violet we used about, yeah, another 3 times. So if we look at the price of the violet key card, and hopefully it will come up, that is currently sat at 4.3 million, so another 1.2, so about 3 million spent on just those 2 rooms. We opened up black room 4 times, so the only time I didn't open it up was on that final one where we didn't see the point in opening it up. So that is I think about 500k per one, so that's 2 million, so we're sat at 5 million spent on just the key cards. And then green room we opened up 3 times in total, and how much did that cost? So 3 million, so that's sat at, I believe it should be what, like 8 million that we spent on key cards. And then we did open up yellow pretty much every time except from 1, so that was 4 uses, and yeah, that's what, like 700k, something like that. So we spent about 8.7 million rubles on these. We didn't open up blue at all in any of them, so 8.7 off of the total. We made about 19 million rubles from 5 raids on labs. So in terms of money per raid opening up the key rooms, we are sat at about just under 4 million rubles per raid, which is pretty darn decent. And although it might seem like we made 27 million, of course you have to factor in that we did pay for all of the key cards, and we'll have to replace them eventually with new key cards like the violet one, which I am now gonna have to go and buy a brand new one, which is perfectly fine because I didn't find one in my stash earlier. So let's just buy whatever the cheapest is, 4.9 million rubles. Yay. I love buying the keycards again, so there we go. That is labs. It is so much better, and it is just so consistent. I cannot stress it enough. Hopefully you enjoyed this pretty darn long video, but hopefully you got what you wanted out of it, and we kind of discussed everything with it. You saw everything, and I wanted to show you what it looks like running labs as a PvE player, and it is very, very fun. It is probably one of my favorite maps, if not my favorite map in the game. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.